We are, hold on one quick moment, actually. I need to check something. Because I think, yeah, so the last couple of days I might have been accidentally, no, that's not really the issue. I was thinking I might have been seeding the torrents that I used to download the flip normals, like sculpting bundle from Humble Bundle a while ago. Because I just realized today that like uTorrent web, which I mean, um, I don't really, I think I have everything paused now. It wasn't uploading anything. I think nobody's downloading it because it's been like 2 months anyway. So maybe that'll fix up some of the internet issues. Maybe some of the frame drops. Wow, frame drop like spikes that we had was to do with people like using my bandwidth to download those. Who knows? Anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to scream at OBS for not doing its job. And then we're going to do the crafting stuff for my game. So let's actually compile Unreal real quick. Which should be relatively straightforward. I've been thinking about this for the last like 2 days. And we're going to do it based on a data table. Because I did a little bit of research, and data tables actually are intelligent enough to only load in the rows that you are working on. So you can very easily like hard reference a bunch of stuff, and only the actual recipes that you're working with at any given moment will be loaded into memory. So that's going to be great. That said, I'm going to be iterating over a lot of recipes as well, most likely, in some cases. So that would load everything into memory anyway, in order to iterate over it. But then after we're done with it, I'll dispose of it easily again, which is just, I mean, it's going to give the garbage collector a little bit of extra work, but they'll probably be fine. Because I was thinking, do we want to do this asset based? And I couldn't really find a good reason as to why I would want to have it asset based. So we're going to do it as a struct with a data table. Hope you have a productive day. I did fuck all today. I played like 5 hours of Hitman because I downloaded that game and it kind of sucked me in. In the Steam sale was like 90% off Wall of Assassination, like this one right here, right? It's like 90% off. So it was only like €3 or something like that. I'm picking that up, and I didn't really have much work to do today, so I played a bunch of that stuff, which was fun. Did you take a look at widget UI materials? Not yet. That is sometime in the future up on my to-do list, but not like real high priority at the moment. But yeah, I've been having fun with Hitman, so I think we're gonna abandon this game and we're gonna make a Hitman. No, of course not. Aside from the fact that the complexity of that game is actually like insane. Okay, so why did I open up Unreal? To give you a visual, because we're gonna go straight the fuck back into Rider. I have my inventory subsystem here, and that's where we're gonna be making the functions for crafting. But before we can do that, I need to go into my, where is it? Inventory types. I already made one little difference. I'll zoom in a little bit for the sake of the stream. I already made one little difference in my inventory slot struct. I added another function for has same item, because at the moment I can just use the like equals operator to check whether or not they have the same item, the same amount, like the same count, the exact same index, and the same metadata, which is largely useless because when are you ever comparing the exact same index against each other, right? So maybe I want to get rid of this at some point. But I figure it's good to just have this as the bool operator actually just being the exact equal inventory slot. And then I have this other function on here which just checks whether or not the item of the slot given in is the same as the item of the slot that we're working with right now. So that way we can easily check for crafting recipes, because of course we don't want to check anything to do with like the count or the index or the metadata. We just want to check, hey, inventory slot, do you have an item? We might not end up using this because I think I already have a query system to check if an inventory contains an item. So this might be very, very easy. How did you learn C++ for Unreal initially? Well, I already knew a little bit of Java and C#, so that helped. And then I did a course at I think it's called GameDev.tv. At some point there was a sale on Humble Bundle with a bunch of courses, most of which I didn't care about, but one of them was specifically Unreal C++ development, and that was a really good place to start. Really helped me out. Also, all the videos you use VS Code for Unreal. How's your experience versus Rider? Was it doable? I mean, VS Code is fine. Rider is just better for Unreal, but it's not that huge of an issue to just use VS Code. That said, Rider now has a free tier, I believe, for non-commercial use. So I don't think there's any reason to not use Rider anymore if you're working with Unreal. Unless you're working with Unreal and it's technically commercial use, but you're not making enough money for the, I don't know, $10 a month or something like that. Even less, I think it's 7 or something. To matter. There's a very small area of the Venn diagram where it might not make sense to use Rider, but aside from that, if you're using it for commercial purposes, the $7 or $10 a month probably aren't going to be a huge issue. And if you're not using it for commercial purposes, it's free now. So I'm 2 months in learning Unreal and switching from C# to C++. Your videos help a lot, especially pointers, references, etc. Is there a license they use in your Unreal Engine project? How would they know what tier you use for a smaller game? The same way any licensing works effectively, which is kind of just like the honor system. But if they figure out that you're lying, they can sue you. That's kind of all there is to it. Because you agree to their terms of service, which includes that. I think. I don't know. Like everybody else on the planet, I don't read terms of service. Anyway, in Blueprint or in inventory types, we want to make a use struct here, and it'll be a struct crafting recipe. 1000% correct, almost. Actually, no, not even close. It's a TRA of just U item pointers. The fuck do you mean? Oh, of course. And then it gives out a U item pointer as well. None of a flee into the mountains after release in my game. I mean, that's kind of it, right? I know some people, after I after I graduated, I went to film school. And everybody there used the Adobe suite, Adobe Premiere and After Effects and that kind of stuff. And I might know a handful of people that continue to use their student license, which just auto renews for a good long while before switching over to the actual pro license, because the student license is, I think, 15 euros a year, and the pro license is 70 a month. So, and usually it's not a problem. Why is you being an issue? The fuck? Crafting recipe has an invalid Unreal prefix. Oh, it needs to be F crafting recipe. That's better. Yeah. But I think everybody agrees that pirating Adobe products is morally correct because of the anti-consumer they are. Fuck them, honestly. Back then it wasn't as bad as it is now. But yeah, no, definitely. I'm actively looking to slowly move away as much as my workflow as I can from Adobe. Because Like, they're not giving me much. There's a couple of things that are just smoother to do for my work with Premiere, and I prefer After Effects over the alternatives. But I don't end up actually like using After Effects all that much. So yeah, I'm like pretty close to being able to cancel Adobe, which will be really nice. Because also, again, it'll save me like 75 euros a month, which is an insane amount of money. Didn't have live started. We're only just getting started and we're just kind of rambling on. Anyway, we made this crafting recipe, right? So the crafting recipe is going to take in items required and give you an item produced. And that's kind of everything we need to do, I think. That said, I think in order for this struct to be... Yeah, it needs to inherit from table row base. Otherwise, C++ structs can't be used for data tables. So let's go back to the inventory subsystem and make a function here. So we'll make a U function that will be blueprint, callable as always, which will be a static function. I'm gonna make it static void. Simple crafts. I might expand this to have like a ordered crafting system as well, like a Minecraft crafting grid. Not for my game, but just for the system as a whole. Takes in the inventory components, the item to craft and bool success. Okay, let's actually think about this. No. Well, bool success is a good one. The item to craft is going to be a data table row, I think. So we take in a U data table, recipes. We take in, I think it's an F name that it takes in for the data table, right? Item to craft. And I guess we also do need to have the inventory component, right? So U inventory components, crafting inventory. Should this be an array to let you use multiple inventories? Like if you have a hotbar as a separate inventory, it might be nice to like sample that for crafting as well. That does complicate the function a lot though. And this is literally called simple crafting, so maybe we should just keep it simple. With pirating, personally I've switched off all my software other companies, DaVinci for editing. Yeah, I mostly use DaVinci too, but like DaVinci has a couple of annoying little quirks. Its automatic silence removal isn't as good, which is annoying for like my tutorials, honestly. And it also deals with subtitles weirdly because of the way it does like auto scaling for clips, which I also don't love. The auto scaling for like clips to a timeline itself is kind of weird because you can set it to a couple of different options. You can set it to like fill the screen vertically, but then it crops away everything on the left and the right. Or you can set it to fill it horizontally, but then there's a bunch of like space at the top and the bottom when I try to like cut shorts out of a video. What I wanted to do is I wanted to fill everything horizontally and just keep the sides intact, and that's just straight up not an option in DaVinci for whatever fucking reason. So it's not an ideal solution, but I think I can probably deal with all that for the amount of money that'll save me. So I'm slowly moving toward that. But now with the heavy use of AI, they're distancing themselves from the small times a lot more than before. To a certain extent, yeah. Or you can go the rail and make the most complex thing crafting in history that does simple stuff. I mean, for now, we're just going to do this. Retrofitting this function to take in an array of inventory components shouldn't be that difficult. If we ever decide that that is relevant. So for now, let's just keep simple crafting. We'll see about the future. So we need the item to craft. Ooh, how are we going to do that actually? Okay, hold on. Let me drink my tea and then we'll do this. Even better is going down the hole of making your own game engine. Please, no. I don't hate myself that much. Make your own OS. Look, that would be fun. Somehow. So yeah. We first get our recipes. Get row names. No, I just want to find row. Oh, I can give in a template. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. So F crafting recipe. And we can just, this takes in a name, right? Yeah. Item to craft. What's the problem? Why the fuck does it need a string, context string? What are you complaining about now? Expression result is not used. This returns a bool? Oh, it returns a crafting recipe, right? That makes sense. I don't know what the fuck this context string is supposed to be, but I guess we just pass on an empty string and we just kind of leave it at that. Let's see. If recipes dot recipe items number is equal to 0, success is false on return. That makes sense, except that that's definitely called something different, isn't it? It's items required. Oh, this gives you a... Why would it give you a pointer? Sure. I'm an idiot. God damn it. We'll just do it with a pointer. Have it your way, okay? Happy now? Why are you bitching? Left side member is... Oh, yeah. Because that's now a pointer. That makes sense. This is YouTube and then Randy on YouTube. Never heard him, but okay. He's making one single game for around 8 years now. Fucking... that's gonna be me. He hasn't gotten past making a character controller because he spends 90% of his time reinventing the wheel. Okay, you see? At least I'm a little bit further ahead than just making a character controller. Made his own code editor, his own engine, his own tools, his own text tool, his own everything. There's something to say. That's kind of cool, though. That is kind of neat. Okay. My tea was getting cold and is now finally just gone. Let's keep going. And let's not tie up my headphone cord too much with everything. So, yeah, if we have a recipe... Well, actually, let's check if the recipe pointer is valid to begin with. because otherwise this is going to bitch at me as well, I think. So this is just a little bit of protection built in, just in case. Now, we have a recipe. Now what we're going to need to do is, I guess we need to get our... we need a for loop over those. So for loop over items required. So that is... well, actually, that is uItem pointer. Item in recipe items required. Why... what is it called? We have a function to check whether or not something has an item. I don't know if we have something to check whether or not there's multiple of a certain item in the inventory, though. Ooh. Let's go into the inventory component and check. We have begin play. It's definitely not in there. Set inventory size, add items, increase item slot, remove items, subtract items. Can items fit in inventory? Query inventory. So that's the item to query, the amount to query. Yes, okay. And then a array of integers to get back the slot indexes and a bool for whether or not the items were found. Okay, so it's called query inventory and it does exactly what I need to do. Sometimes I'm smart. Usually I'm not, but sometimes I am. And then I guess what we want to query whether or not it has the item, and then we want to check the recipe. I guess the recipe doesn't... Hold on. Didn't think about this. Our current recipe header thing here doesn't take in a possibility for having more than one item. And I think that is something that I do want to be able to do. So we make a new struct. And this is a crafting recipe. No, don't need to do that. But we can just let this generate itself. That's good. Crafting item data, which will have inside of it, everything is going to be a U property. The U item, and then, do you know what I'm going to do? The counts, there we go, you are so smart. F crafting recipe. Struct recursion. Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. That could potentially be an issue. Okay, going back into here. Now we need to items required dot item. No, the fuck is a problem? I mean, I'm going to have one problem here in a moment, and that is the fact that I made that a capital A. It's not going to be a problem, but it's going to annoy the hell out of me. Items required. I guess what we actually don't want to... Yeah, so what we want to do instead is F crafting... item data, called data, and then we get data.item and data.count. And then we need two more things in. The index of the slot that was found. Yes. So let's make that array outside here so that we can access it outside as well. Found slot index. Us. What is the plural of index? Is it indexes? Indice? I don't care. Found slot indexes and Whether or not it found anything. I guess we do this bool found item. Okay, so the issue with doing it this way, I just realized, is that now technically we have a tiny issue. Well, actually, do we? Because let's check the inventory component. Because does this... No, it does check multiple inventory slots. So... Yeah, no, this just straight up works. So I guess this is just the success value. Because if it couldn't find the... there we go. Why is success with 2 C's? What the fuck? If it couldn't find anything, it does query the entire inventory, not just one slot at a time. Well, it does it one slot at a time, but this function takes care of the whole inventory. So if this returns false, the inventory just doesn't have enough in it to do anything. And I do think we might want to make this into a separate function to check whether or not we can craft something, maybe. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I wish there was, maybe there actually is there some way to just like select something and like make a function out of it? Because that would be so fucking good. I don't think there is. So context actions maybe? Extract method? Ooh, I think we can do that. I think that's the thing we can do. Can craft item. Let's see. Failed to create declaration. I guess it's because it wants this to be static. Oh, that might be an issue. Because this has no member can craft. Oh, it just doesn't have a member for it. Well, we can fix that. Right. Just fucking copy this over. I don't think we need to make this blueprint callable. Right, why are you bitching about it being static? Hello? Oh, definition of function bool cannot have static specifier. If you insist, sure. I don't see why not. Does it use anything from... I mean, static functions can return stuff, right? Member function can be made static. What the fuck are you talking about? You just told me that it couldn't. What the hell? Okay, so remember when I said maybe it's this? No. Oh, hold on. Do you not include static on the declaration only, or the definition only in the declaration? Not that used to like... Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, so if this side doesn't specify it being static. Okay, that's kind of neat to know. All right, all that aside, we now have the slot indexes to be found. So how do we deal with that? I guess... But is that only for one item? So we put this inside of a for loop as well now, right? But then this doesn't. Let's think about this. We check if we can craft an item. And if we can craft an item, we subtract things from that inventory because we now have those indexes. So we just... I guess we do this again, but that seems a little wasteful, doesn't it? Because at that point we're iterating over it twice, so we might as well... Why is this a not? Huh? Oh, because this is... Oh. I am not on good form today. Clearly. So I guess what we do... Yeah, so, okay, this is what we do, right? Is we get given in the ref to a bool, and we set that to true every time we create the inventory for every item that we test. Then we check if success has become false. We return false, and otherwise we return true. That way we have loops over the entire inventory to check whether or not they can be crafted, and only then do we start removing items. The thing that I'm worried about is if we implement removing items in here, it's going to be a pain in the ass if we remove an item and then have to re-add it back. Because it turned out we couldn't actually craft because of the next item down the list. Right, so this just checks generally if we can craft items, which is also good for enabling and disabling the fuck, why? An appropriate pointer on variable f crafting recipe cannot have an exposed pointer to this type. Well, I'm more than happy to just pass them by value. If that's what you want, like, that's fine with me. That doesn't need to be changed or anything. You're the one who changed it to a fucking pointer for some reason. Because of this. Because this returns a pointer, that was the issue. Okay. We'll deal with that in a moment. So I think this function works. Aside from the slot indexes, probably should be... Can we make like a TRA reference? It's probably a thing that we can do, right? Also, this definitely needs a semicolon. Or do arrays just get passed through as references to begin with? I don't think they are. So this should be fine. This doesn't really matter. We probably should like move these two around so we have the references at the end as parameters. I don't know if it matters for the declaration, but let's just move it around here as well. Yes. So then coming back here, we find the row, which I still think it's kind of stupid that it that we can't just do this, but fucking have it your way. Okay, why is success being a bitch? Cannot convert bool to parameter. Oh, we're just passing these in the wrong order now. That makes sense. Okay, now you're going to complain about the fact that that's a pointer and you can't just get a non-pointer out of it. But that just makes it a, yeah. So I guess we could just do this. I was just kind of messing up my stuff, my operators, but this is the operator that I wanted. Would just mean that we don't need to check this anymore. Because this will just create. Do I need to do like this? I don't think I need to do that for a struct, right? We'll figure it out. So this checks if the item can be crafted to begin with. And now we're finally at the place where we want to be. And that is... effectively this loop again. Except we remove this. And now for every one we subtract items, which I think already does over multiple slots as well, right? Items left is items removed. Yeah, so this already like loops over the different slots. I made all these functions so well. That makes this so much smoother to do. So that should... yeah. And then we... I don't think we need to check for success at this point anymore, because we already checked whether we... oh no, we can craft them. We have subtracted everything. I don't even think that we necessarily need to... let's just make bool subtracted, just because it needs something in. But definitely don't want to be changing the success output here. So after that for loop, we add the item. Now what's your problem? Is it called add items? It's called add items. Kind of stupid that it can't read that properly. So we item produce. I guess we also want to go and say how many items it crafts, just because. Amount produced, yes. So that'll be recipe. Item produced max text size. What the fuck, no man. Have an amount produced. I literally just made that. And then we return true. No, we don't return true because this is just a void function. Because I'm an idiot. But we still do want to return. I guess this is the end of the function anyway, so we don't have to do a return. Success is true. Okay. Let's see if that works. I think it should. Oh, it doesn't even compile, so... property item required references type f crafting data, but the code generation hash is 0. Circular dependencies missing or included. F crafting item data. I remember something about this. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT because I think what it is missing might be just like the equal operator, because otherwise like arrays need to be able to compare items to like figure out if they should like be added or added as unique. Check for missing includes. I doubt that's it. They're in the same file. Check for circular dependencies. I mean, this depends on that, but not the other way around, so that surely isn't it. Ensure they're both use structs. They are. I'm just going to give you both of the structs and let you figure it out, because clean and regenerate project files, that might actually be a good one. Module visibility, that's definitely not the issue. I don't see how this is a circular dependency though, unless I'm missing something very obvious. They're in the same fucking file, you idiot. ChatGPT is saying, you need to have includes, but I'm already including items, surely. Yes, I am. Well, I'm for declaring it. But I'm not using anything from item, right? Yeah, so that should be fine. I'm just going to try compiling again and see if it was because Unreal was running for some weird reason. Probably not. Yeah, no. Here's the entire file. It's just likely how Unreal header tools processing your file specifically when it points circular dependencies are missing includes or improper structure handling in your inventory types age below. Key issues, you're for declaring U item metadata and U item, but not including definitions in inventory types.h. Yeah, that's not been a problem so far, so shut the fuck up. Circular dependency risk. Model include directors might create a circular dependency. I mean, I don't think that will be the issue though. Okay, ChatGPT is kind of a dud on this one, so we're going to go to Google. Obviously, Google isn't going to be as intelligent about this because it doesn't understand mod code. Unreal C++, the property reference type. Code generation hash is 0. This guy has the same issue with an enum, which is even fucking weirder. Oh, fuck me. Okay, yeah, now this makes sense. Sometimes it's easy to forget that computers read top to bottom, much like humans actually. And this fucker doesn't know what this is because it's declared under it. That makes sense. It should probably, well, actually it did give me a little like, it should probably warn me about that a little bit more, like on the right side, but this should fix it. That was a silly. There we go. And that should be everything there is to it. I think with that we can effectively craft very easily now. We can make a data table with the recipes, and then we can just get the recipes by name. And it'll automatically add it to our inventory if it has the proper like stuff. I think we just had the same epiphany at the same time. I mean, I just read somebody in the Unreal forum saying, hey, you should probably fix your ship in this way. So, yeah, no, that does make sense, though. To be fair, like, that does make sense. Let's check if the can of items... can of items? What the fuck am I even... What is today? I'm streaming with a bit of a headache, so I think my brain is just like, I might just be having like an aneurysm or something. Let's put this under a debug key somewhere, like debug G. I don't think I used that one yet. So can craft item is a function that I can just call, which takes in a crafting inventory. So let's just, and then found slot indexes, it returns return value, sure. And success, so that works. And then we can craft simple, which takes in a crafting inventory. So it'll be this one. The recipes will have to be... Can we limit, hold on, can we limit the data tables to data tables that use a specific row? Is that a thing that we can do? Because that would be kind of neat if we could do that. Let's check that out. So if we can we do like a U data table? And this one I'm going to ask ChatGPT again, because in Unreal, I want to make a function that takes in a data table, but there are a lot of data tables. So I would want it to only be able to take in a data table made from a certain specific struct. Is this possible? Define your struct? Yeah, just sure. I have my struct. Thank you very much. Create a function with a templated constraints. Okay, so use the function. Okay, this is a little bit more template, type name T, type name T, enable if T is derived from T with your struct value, void type, okay. Okay, for now I think I'm going to not do that because that seems like a pain in the ass for something that's not actually that important. So let's just make a data table, shall we? Items, we'll just make it in here. Data table. I can probably make an item factory or like an asset factory that just makes this a little bit more straightforward though. At least the creation of the asset. So recipe table, which realistically only ever need one of. And then let's add this like here, add in row name will be test item, and the items required will be, I don't know, I think we have like fire spell 1, and then I think we also have tornado spell 1. Oh, that's the item produced. Hold on. That's my bad. Tornado spell 1, and we'll get back 1 like ice spell, piercing shot. So the test item will be, did I capitalize the I? I did. I'm so smart. So yeah, that should be everything there is to it. Let's try, because we already have those things in our inventory, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we have both of those. So if I now press G, engine didn't crash, and we have an ice spell. We have 2 ice spells. Do we already have the other ice spell? We did. Okay. So it works. That's all there is to it. We have crafting. That was remarkably simple. Okay. I guess like the base functions that I have on the inventory component itself already worked well enough. That said, I think it's also good to like just make a crafting UI now, maybe. So let's do that. I forget how I set up the UI stuff for my pause menu though. So let's check that out real quick. Like this is a fucking mess, obviously. But we have the inventory menu, and they both inherit of menu. And menu is the thing that drives the animation, I believe. Yeah, so if place slide in, which has an animation, and then place slide out just plays that backward, and it like does all the delegating, whatever, for us. So we just somebody's coughing. We just make a chart of this, right? Hello? What the fuck? Is that another thing we can do? By just right clicking? I mean, it's fine if we just need to like, make it this way. Oh, no. What else? A preview? Menu. There we go. Crafting menu. This should be relatively easy. Kind of similar to the top-down issue. I just need a blueprint. Have my blueprint oriented wrong. That is how that all the time. I was setting members before setting a dispatcher. I was setting the wrong value. Yeah, that doesn't help. So let's make this into an overlay. And then I guess what we just kind of do is we just kind of do a thing. I think, yeah, let's just, I guess, a vertical box. Maybe add in a border first. Just for shits and giggles, right? That's the wrong value. There we go. 50%. And then I guess if we just like set the padding to numbers. We'll figure it out. Maybe this has to be a sub widget as well. We'll see. Yeah, I think it makes more sense to make this a sub widget, to be honest. But set this to 200. And then this to like 50 as well, and then this to 100, and this to 100. It's maybe even more than needed. Well, actually, I think it's gonna be nice to... Probably should display the inventory as well here, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so the left cropping should probably be like 500, maybe even like 700. Let's do... This is probably 1080, right? 1080p. I assume. So that would be 1920 wide. So that would be 810 would be half of that. And then we have 100. So yeah, 710 should then be half of that. But I don't think that adds up like at all. So 810. Yeah, I think... Is that half? It doesn't seem like half. Yeah, this is the halfway line, right? Yeah, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yeah. I don't know, man. It's just 1,000. It's definitely... Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go have a quick bathroom break, and when we come back, we'll figure this out. I think we're not going to figure this out. I think we're just going to make the crafting buttons first. That might make more sense. I think we're going to make this into a sub-widget as well, to be honest. But before we do any of that, let's add in an item grid. Because we want that to be... Hold on, maybe if we just put both of them in a size box. Maybe that makes sense. Because then we can more easily set their sizes. Yeah, so the borders padding doesn't make any sense anymore. But now we can set this one to be aligned to the... Oh, hold on now. This needs to do that. And this one can be aligned to there. And this one can be aligned... No, that needs to fill up the entire thing. This one can be aligned to there. And we can just set the overrides for both of them. So let's say they're 100 units away from the edge of the screen. And then they both like reach about the middle-ish. But not quite. And we can make them about this tall. Which is actually just going to be 750 for the sake of my sanity. And this is just going to be like 840. Just stick with round numbers so that they're exactly equal. Yeah, so this way we'll have the inventory over here, which is going to already have a scroll box and everything to it, I think, maybe. Does the inventory have a built-in scroll box? It does. And this thing is going to have a scroll box with a vertical box inside of it. And then that vertical box is going to be dynamically filled. And in order to dynamically fill the vertical box, we need something to fill it with. So let's make that. User interface, blueprint, widgets, and then we'll make the crafting button. It's going to be relatively simple for now. It's just going to be a... Let's also put this in a size box. I love size boxes, man. Size boxes are the best thing ever. Because you can just hard code what size things should be. It doesn't make for very dynamic stuff. I'll be the first to admit. But it is quite nice that I can just say, you are about like, well, 750 minus something. So let's say you're about a 700 wide. And then instead of height override, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a minimum desired height, and then you can just be as tall as you fucking want. Like minimum desired would be like 1. Whoa, no, just 100, not 1400. That is a bit much. And then we'll just put in an overlay in the button. Inside which, well, yeah, let's stick with an overlay for now. Inside which we'll put a vertical box. And this on construct will be given in a recipe to display. And can craft as a bool. Because I want to be able to like gray out things that aren't craftable at the present time. So on construct, what we do is we get our vertical box, has to be a variable, and we add a child to it. And we do that in a for each loop over the array of items required. I guess the items that it returns also should... Oh, we have to do a couple more things, actually. The items that it returns should also have the possibility to return more than one item. And then we also need to make it check whether or not you have room in your inventory for that many items. The combination of which is a little bit iffy. Doing one or the other isn't that difficult with what I have set up now. Doing both is going to be a little annoying because I need to I need to check. Let's just draw this, right? Let's draw this out real quick. Because what I need to do is say I have an inventory. And I have like these are items or slots in the inventory, right? And let's just... I'm such a good artist. Holy shit. Can you even tell that I'm doing this real quick? So good. Fantastic. Okay, so these are all the item slots that I have. And let's say I have... most of them filled, right? So I have like these ones all filled. And can we just pretend like I filled out the rest, or am I going to like put X's in every single one of these boxes? I think I'm going to be putting X's in every single one of these boxes just because I'm pedantic like that. I shouldn't have made the inventory this big just for demonstrational purposes. One row would have done. Okay. Let's say this is the only room we have left in the inventory. Checking if just one item can fit in the inventory isn't that big a deal. But there's a couple of wrenches to throw into that. The first one of which is, let's say we have 4 items. Well, let's make it a different color. Let's say we have 4 items to add into our inventory. That's going to be a problem. Because at the moment I think I have a function, can items fit in inventory, but that only checks 1 item at a time. So it's going to check 1, and then it's going to check the second item. Since we haven't added this yet, it's going to check and see, oh, there's still an empty inventory slot, and then it's going to check again. And it's still going to see there's an empty inventory slot, and it's going to check again, and it's still going to see there's an empty inventory slot, and then when we actually try to add them, we're going to run into problems. So we can't do that. The other issue is, what if, when we check whether or not we can craft something and whether or not it fits in the inventory, what if one of the items that we use, let's say this item, gets used up? Suddenly, that creates an opening in the inventory. How do we check for all of this before we actually start moving the items around? And I think the answer might just be, we don't. I think what the answer might just be is, before we start changing the inventory, we just, do we have like blue? We just make a snapshot of what the inventory looks like. We just save out the entire array as a temporary variable. And then we start changing the inventory. And then if we at any point run into issues changing the inventory, what we do is we just scrap all those changes and revert back to the temporary like cached like array variable that we made. That's like a lot of memory to use for something that maybe has a slightly more like optimal solution, but I think this is the most straightforward way to do it. And in reality, it's not that much memory, right? Because like, what is an inventory slot at the end of the day? It's a pointer, which is, I think, 8 bytes. It's an integer, which also is 8 bytes, or 4 bytes even. It's another point, well, it's integer. It's another pointer to the metadata, which is another 8 bytes. So altogether, I'm just going to spoil it for you. Like altogether, I think an inventory slot, we can actually just straight up check in Writer how big it is. I think it's like 20 bytes. So just saving out 20 bytes times 100 temporarily probably isn't that big a deal. So just do what you said by setting variables and using the variables to calculate if it is possible. I don't think it is a good idea to do a bunch of like weird math to check whether it is possible beforehand. Because at that point, you're just doing the opposite, right? At that point, you're making a copy of the inventory and trying, like, doing a bunch of calculations on that. So in the end, I don't think it actually, like, matters. The only difference is between, do we make a, like, if we have our inventory, right? Do we change this and, like, keep a backup of the inventory in case we end up finding out that things don't work? Or do we make a copy of the inventory, do the operations on that to check, and then copy that back over to what the hell? Sure. And then copy that back over to override the existing inventory. Like either way, we're going to have to like actively try to do those operations all one at a time. So the only difference is whether or not we do those on the live version or on the like backed up version. I do, but the issue isn't I can very easily find out whether or not a single item can fit in the inventory. I can even, but the issue comes in when I want to add like 5 items in a batch. If there's just like 5 inventory slots open, that's fine. But what happens if there's 4 inventory slots open and one of the items used for crafting gets used up, which would open up a 5th inventory slot that I'm not aware of yet until I start removing those items. And I don't want to start removing those items until I know that I can finish the crafting. So it's not as easy as just keeping track of the like open inventory slots in a variable. That would probably help. I don't think I have specifically. That's easy to calculate, though, because I can just go over the inventory and check, hey, do you have an item? And if not, like increment I by 1. Or just indeed keep an integer on the inventory component to keep track of how many. Like that's probably the better way to do it, to be honest. But that doesn't quite like cover the entire issue. Separated, you're overcomplicating it. I don't think I am. Like, I think it is a good idea to add in this variable to begin with, but like separated, that doesn't actually solve my issue. The issue that I have is I want to check whether or not I can craft something, and checking whether or not I can craft something involves both checking if I have the items and checking whether or not I have the room. But whether or not I have the room can be dependent on those items getting used up. So, but they're still both part of the same crafting operation. So I don't have the answer on whether or not I can craft something until I check what my inventory looks like with the items, like with the ingredients used up. So either I need to like simulate using up the ingredients, or I just use the ingredients and revert back to a previous state if it ends up running into an issue. Like I think that's actually the most straightforward way to do it, because again, I either like need to remove them from a simulated inventory and then do them from the real inventory as well once I know that it's possible, or I just start removing shit, and if I run into any issues, revert back. Like I think that is the way that we're going to do it. Oh yeah, well, I was going to go into my inventory type. Just like the inventory slot is, I think, the top one. It's probably a little bit more because it has like a little bit of stuff going on. But if I like just go to this, it's 32 bytes, right? Even if you have like 1,000 inventory slots, copying it over temporarily is probably fine. Yeah, okay, but the issue is that if I have a separate process that removes the items and then a process that checks whether or not I have the inventory slots to add the items that I want to add, then the items are already removed. So I need to... this is effectively what I'm doing. Because I need to remove those items to be able to check the inventory to see if then the items that I'm trying to add will fit into the newly constructed, well, not newly constructed, but the newly updated inventory. Like those two things, like in the end, you do them one at a time. Obviously, everything happens one at a time. But if I remove those items and then I figure out I still can't fit them in the inventory, I need to be able to revert back. Is the issue. Which is not an issue, it's fairly easy to solve. But it's... Yeah, so that's the way we're going to do it. All that said, though, now we're in inventory types anyway. I want to make the item craft. Yeah, item produced should be. Oh yeah, so actually this should just be an array as well, right? For example, if you have a 5-item batch before crafting happens, take the value of 5, which the batch you're using, and subtract the amount needing for crafting. Yeah, so that's. Yeah, but why would I do a bunch of like extra math on a effectively like virtual version of the inventory if I could just do it on the inventory, and then later on down the line, it's all gonna happen within one function anyway, even if it has like sub functions. So why would I check on a virtual version of the inventory if I could just do those operations on the actual inventory directly? I don't think that makes sense. Like, we're doing a bunch of extra work to save what amounts to less than like 2 kilobytes of data that are going to be in memory for like a split second. So I don't think like that adds up being worth it. That said, though, we need to add these items individually now. So we add items for each one of them. So data dot item, data dot count. And then I guess in here we first check, like it's going to be as easy as this. Look, right? Can items, hold on. I did a boo-boo. Hello. Thank you. Can items fit in inventory? Because I already have a function. That might be the context you're missing. I already have like this function that simply returns a bool on whether or not an item, like an item with an amount given in, fits in my inventory. Like I already have that function. So I just check whether like this data and this like amount fits in the inventory. Bool can fit. Simply put, you need variables. Yeah, so I think that's not simply put. I think the way I'm doing it is much simpler, to be honest. Because it's literally like 2 extra lines of code at this point. Because we can just, if items can fit, we add them in. And else, we just at the start of this entire fucking operation, I guess we only do this here. Yeah, so let's make the inventory slots temp slots. Which will just be equal to our crafting inventory slots, right? Don't empty those. That would be bad. And then, so yeah, if they cannot fit, so if they can fit, we add the items, and then for each one, if we can't fit them, we just get our crafting inventory slots and we set it back to temp slots. We set success back to false, and then we return. And I think With a lot of pre-deliberation, we have now added the 3 lines of code necessary. So, yeah, let's save all this stuff and recompile so that we know that we're not doing anything weird in Blueprint based on these changes. Why are you... I guess you can make that inside the if statement, that's fine. Subtracted has a typo, I don't really care about that. Yeah, so I already have this kind of items fit in inventory for like things like item pickup, right? If you want to pick up an item, I want to be able to check, hey, can this item fit in an inventory? And that's not quite as simple or straightforward as just, hey, is there an empty inventory slot? Because it also checks whether or not the item already exists in your inventory and whether or not it has space in the stack for that item. Because items have maximum stack sizes. So it does all like that as well. So I already have that function. So I might as well just like use that. Yeah, there's quite a lot of wrinkles to this issue that make it a little bit more complicated than just keeping track of a couple of variables, to be honest. That said, though, this is now going to not work anymore. So let's just... Well, let's make this 2 items just to see whether or not everything works. So we have a... Like, do a mine spell and a... What other spells do we have? Magnet spell. Sure. Probably should default these amounts to 1, eh? Yeah, let's do that real quick. Because that's going to bother the hell out of me. Because usually it's going to be 1 that we need. So, yeah. Yeah, that's good. So let's check whether or not that works again. There's our inventory now. We press the G key and our inventory is not up to date. What the fuck? Guess it didn't work. Huh. Yeah, so we might need to... No, that's true. Did I fuck up some line of code somewhere here? If can't fit, add items, otherwise... Huh? I should comment this code because it's already a mess. Wait, this doesn't make sense. it just adds in the items again. No, it is a recipe. Items produced. So that's my bad. Okay. I guess we're doing a full rebuild. This is why live coding is there and not much more. Man, my whole room smells like garlic and I can't open a window because it's fucking freezing cold outside. Not that the smell of garlic necessarily is like the worst thing in the world. It's kind of like nice food. But it's also like quite a strong smell. But I made a like fucking fantastic steak today. So that's nice. Did it save my changes to the data table? Did it? It did. Okay, so let's check this out. We have this inventory. Press G. We have this inventory. It works. Multiple items. And we'll test the edge cases later, but for now we know that it works. And what needs to where it didn't open up everything again. Why didn't it open everything? Garlic smells so good. I like garlic. It's probably like the literal best plant ever. I was going to say invented. I don't think anybody invented garlic. I mean, we might have like bred it more pure for its like very intense taste, but I don't know. Pause menus. Crafting button. That's what we were doing. The crafting button. So yeah, the crafting button is going to have 2 vertical boxes in it. One is going to be outlined to the left. Why is this not outlined to the left? Hello? Oh, it's because this one needs to be filled up all the way. This one will be outlined to the left. Top left. Yeah, that makes sense. So this will be the recipe box. And this will be the result box. Okay, so for the other one will also be for each loop actually, so just recipe box, result box, child, all that kind of good stuff. I'll probably make a separate widget for some stuff later, but for now we're just going to be adding a text. So construct object text. Oh god, which one is it? I think it's just common text, right? Yeah. Style and scroll style. I'm just going to hope that that has default value, to be honest with you. Set text. And the text will be... Oh, that's a fantastic name. Fantastic question. What the hell? I'm trying to think about how I'm going to get the name. Item, I think this just has a name, actually. A get name. Sometimes it do be like that. Then we're just going to copy this over, but use this one instead. And that one. And... no, hold on. Like that. So I do think that this should now populate with the item, but not with the amount actually. Hold on. That is a good point. Array element count? Oh, count. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we want to append some stuff. So we do this append x count, and then we do we probably needed that to text now. Oh well. Yeah, so this should now do. So then we go one step back into the crafting menu, and this vertical box is gonna get on construct for now. I guess it doesn't dynamically need to change because I don't really want to like unlock recipes. Maybe I do. I think I just want all the recipes to be like available, to be honest with you. I haven't really thought that through yet. Yeah, so let's just get data table rows. Names. Yeah, that's it. Recipe table. And then for each one of those, I guess we get, oh, hold on now, for each loop. Get data table row based on this name. From the recipe table as well, it probably should be a shared variable, but hey, what do you know? And if it is found, what we do is we create a widget, crafting button. Recipe will be the recipe. Can craft is just going to be set to true for now because we're not doing anything with that yet. And then we'll just add a child. So this should now, in theory, add those things to there. And the way we're going to test that is to just implement them into the pause menu, like immediately. There we go. So crafting menu, just fucking throw it in there. This is probably the worst way to do this. I am super aware and I just do not care. Yeah, so I think this needs to be given in a inventory component to make this thing work. I just realized. So I guess we do that on construct too. Because this definitely needs to set the inventory components. And then I think probably should make that a function. Because right now what I'm doing, I'm doing update item grid every time after I set inventory slot, which is annoying to do. And I guess we can just get player character. Oh, hold on, can we? Because this one got created before we possess. No, I don't think we can do that. We actually do need to do this through variables. Because they get created on the player character when the player character spawns in, but we don't possess the player character until we actually start playing the game. For reasons that I decided a long time ago, and I don't remember. Probably bad reasons, to be honest with you. Yeah, we do need to do it this way, which is the better way to like send through information anyway. Don't rely too much on like getting player character and getting game mode and that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily know if this is better. But it's better not to rely on those like standard getting nodes as a crutch. Is what I mean. So I guess that means we go back into the checkpoint menu. I don't know if this will work the way I want it to work, to be honest with you. Might not. Where's... Yeah, so... Let's make it into a separate function. Because the other widget also had it as a separate function, and there's probably a reason for that. So... Set player inventory. Jesus, that's misspelled horribly. That's better. I mean, if we're going to do that, this doesn't need to be... that doesn't need to be an exposed thing anyway, because we don't like dynamically spawn it in, so that doesn't do anything at all. Like, literally. Going back into my checkpoint menu, which again, yes, I know is a mess. Set player inventory. This is going to just take the normal player inventory. I don't care about the player items. I'm going to be real with you. They're not going to be used for crafting anyway. Maybe sometimes, maybe if we end up introducing like a super potion, which uses a normal potion, you could have it equipped. But for the most part, craftable items aren't going to be even allowed to be in your usable slots. So this is not going to be an issue. Yeah, so now what we just do is we check out how the stats menu actually like sets its stuff. Okay, so we just set the forward animation variable. Let's make an animation. It's going to be a rather bad animation. Let's call it slide in. We're going to be adding our item grid. Transform. And we're going to be adding these things. Scroll box. Border. Actually, I probably want to do this. I probably want to do it for the entire size boxes. Yeah, size box. Transform. And then size box. Transform. This is going to be a very like quick and easy way to do it. Let's just take half a second to do it. And then we go back. And there we go. We have a slide in animation. Good enough. I would say for now. So before we do any of that, set forward animation, which is just a variable that we have to slide in. And that should now take care of all that. We just need to bind that through to the proper button, which is the... Oh god. Which one is it? Where is it? Crafting menu. The shop will be done at a later date. I'm sure. So unclicked. Just like copy everything over here and just put in our crafting menu and hope that that does the trick. I don't know. Man, this is unrelated, but thank you for your videos on gas. They're helping me a lot with my project. It's a fantastic plugin. I'm still actively revising some of the abilities in my game. I just found out like I had an attack that would spawn in an actor, that would spawn in the next actor, that would spawn in the next actor, instead of just having an ability that just spawns all those in to like trail behind to the player, for instance. Makes much more sense to just have an actor or the ability deal with that, so that the ability can keep track of how many spawn and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like a year into converting my project to gas, and I still run into things where I'm like, I don't know if I did this pre or post starting to use gas, but I clearly wasn't used to it when I made that one. It's a bit of a weird plugin. It works in weird ways, but it's so fantastic. All that said, though, I think this is all that we need to do in order for all that to get to work. So let's try to see if that crafting button works. I mean, it should start as being invisible before anything else. And I'm just gonna put it up here. I don't know if it makes a difference. Oh, that's the crafting button. No. I want the crafting menu to be up here with the rest. And that's going to be set to hidden by default. But I do think that it actually worked. So let's... I mean, this works. Not quite. Okay, so why are you not set to being... Oh, did I set it to visible? That's the opposite of what I want. I want it to be as non-visible as possible. Yeah, so... Yeah, that works quite well, aside from the fact that, of course, it is like only... Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this is not ideal. Not gonna lie. That might need a little bit of fine-tuning. Let's... Yeah, so... That is... What if we just do this? Or what if we... Nah. We can make a... like information box down here for the item that we're about to craft, I guess. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so why doesn't this thing add in everything? Crafting... Menu. No, yes, yes. Crafting button. It does have its second thing, right? Yeah, it only adds the second one. Oh! It'll do it. So let's copy over this. I'll just do this on my main screen actually, so that you guys can see it. Also, I'm going to set this back over to new editor window so that I don't always just have this like full screen. But this should, yeah, now, mind spray and magnet for this. Of course, it doesn't bind to crafting anything yet, but that'll be easy to set up. So I was going to make multiple crafting recipes. So I kind of just want to like duplicate this row a couple of times, to be honest with you. Like, I think that's the only thing that I really care about. To just see, now it should add in a bunch of things with the same. Yeah, there we go. Let's duplicate a couple more because I want to see the scroll box working as well. And it does. So we have our very simple but effective crafting menu. This side doesn't work. Why doesn't it display my inventory? Why does it not display my inventory? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I need to create inventory content. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just ran the wrong function. So crafting menu, instead of update item grid, we need to create inventory contents. But I also think that the other one sets inventory to the sets inventory to the inventory component, which redraws slots and binds on inventory updated. Sure. I guess. If that's what I need to do, that's what I'll do. No, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. Why would I, after that, still... Because this sets the inventory component, so why am I setting it twice? Oh, this is the wrong thing anyway. Oh, because this is player items. So I'm just entirely looking at the wrong... Okay. So... what do the other ones do? I guess what I need to look at is how I do it in the inventory menu. Hold on. This one. Player items, and then... Oh, the item grid just create inventory content. That was the issue. After I set the inventory component, but then here, oh, it's just, okay, now. So the only difference that I needed to do, in the end, indeed, my goodness, was just this. This should work. So where did I... Oh. Crafting menu. That's player items. Why did I remove the... Oh, no, I didn't remove that. Set player inventory to the player inventory. And the player inventory should construct content. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so... Confused myself with my code there. This should now display the inventory. It does, with ugly slots, but that doesn't matter. It displays the inventory. Fantastic. Now the funny thing is, stop attacking me, please. I need to bind these to crafting the items that they are like referencing or like representing, and then I need to update this inventory as a result of that. But that should be as easy as just redraw slots. So let's go back into the crafting menu. We don't need the player items anymore for reference. So the crafting button. When the button itself is clicked, this is the important bit. Also, this might be... We'll worry about that later. I think the issue is going to be that the text will block the hit test and stuff, but we'll make a separate thing for the text anyway, because I also want to display like icons with it. This is going to be more complex than just text, regardless. So for now, I think just button on-clicked will do fine. And when we click on a crafting button, what we want to do is we want to get player character, get inventory. Man, I love the fact that we can just do it this cheap fucking... Well, it's not really a hacky way, but we don't need to like forward any like references over and over and over and over again. We can just use player character. So I'm using this thing as a crutch. The thing I said that you shouldn't do. Do as I say, not as I do. Craft. Simple. The recipes will always be the recipe table. Now, the item to craft, I guess, needs to be a variable on this thing. That's going to be exposed on spawn, because in the crafting menu, when we add these fuckers, refresh node, Hello. Did it not compile? Oh, needs to be instance editable as well. Refresh nodes. We can just pull this through, and that should kind of be all there is to it. Yeah. And it also needs an event dispatcher. Just an on-clicked forward, effectively. So we just call out on-clicked. And then in the crafting menu, for every single one of these that we add, we also bind to on-clicked. And we redraw the inventory. Something. What is it called? For fuck's sake. We'll get there one of these days. I will remember these things. Kind of sad because I made it myself. Update item grid. Can only be mad at myself for that one. Crafting menu. Updates. Inventory grid, not even crafting grid. What the hell am I talking about? So now, that should have been all that we needed to do in order for this to work. Boom! And it doesn't do anything, of course, because we can't craft anything if we don't have the ingredients. So, yeah. Crafting works, man! Just as easy as that. Now, I do want to... I do want to do a thing. And that thing is in the crafting button. I want to set... can I just set like the thing as a whole? No. All right. The color and opacity for... I think this is the content, right? And then this is the background. Yes. So on construct, let's at the very end here get our button and set background color to a select color can craft. And if it can craft, it'll just be, let's make it like a pleasant light blue. And if it can't craft, it's going to be like a dull, almost blackish gray. And we're going to make that into a quick separate event here. Set colors. Should we maybe... I'm kind of thinking that maybe what we should do is we just should like do this. We can always do that later. So then we set colors. In the crafting menu, as these get instead of just can fit always being true, what we do is we can craft. Oh no! Can craft item, and then the recipe will be the out row, the crafting inventory will be whatever the fuck. I guess we just... Huh. You know, I didn't think about that. I don't know what order these are going to get called in, is the issue. Well, there's one way for me to make sure that I know what order they're going to get called in, and that is just delaying this by a tick. Because now I know that this will definitely have run before. So I can use the get inventory component from this. Which is a bit cheap to do, but and then we just use the success for this. But then also every time we click on any of these, we want to, I guess only when we successfully craft, technically speaking, but we can improve that later. We also want to get our vertical box, get children for each loop. This is going to just be normal widgets, right? So we need to cast all of them. That's fine. To crafting button and set can craft. And then set colors. This is why I thought maybe making that like an input parameter would make more sense, because like, look at this. But I guess we can just I guess that's fine, because we are storing the get item to craft. So in theory, now when I cannot craft something, it should gray out the button. I think. Hopefully. Maybe. Let's see, everything should be blue, and then everything turns gray. What else can I say? It just works. And of course, this can be improved by like adding in those little icons and that kind of stuff. Which we might as well do right now, like crafting text as a widget. Crafting text. It's going to be fairly simple. It's just going to be a horizontal box in which we have a couple of things. First and foremost, I'm going to put in a size box to limit the size of the image. Otherwise, it's going to be fucking massive. So I'll have to limit this to like... How tall did I make the crafting button? I think 100 units, right? Minimum desired height is 100. Yeah, so let's make the images 100 by 100. Yep. And then just 2 bits of text. Well, we can actually do 1 bit of text. And I guess... Let's make them smaller. I think 100 by 100 is a bit much. I'm not gonna lie. Let's do like 25 by 25. Why do you look so squished? What do we do 30 by 30? Oh, because you're getting stretched out. Okay, let's do 50 by 50. And then make this text outline to the center. Yeah. And then a little bit of padding to the left, like 10 pixels. Okay. On construct, what we'll do is we set image, set brush with texture. Texture is going to be exposed on spawn, all that kind of stuff. And then we get our text, which I still don't understand why text. Well, I kind of do, but I kind of would prefer if text by default was variable, because like 99% of the time when I make a text block, I want it to be variable. So I don't really understand why it's not just a variable by default and then you can make it non-variable if it's just a static text. But that might just be me. Okay, in the crafting button, instead of just adding texts like we're doing now, we're going to get rid of this on both sides. And we're going to create widgets, crafting text. Oh, the other one should also be exposed on spawn. Let's refresh that. Okay, so this effectively still is just that. And then we just get the texture from the item, right? Get, I think it's icon, get inventory icon. I do the same thing here. We can remove that. That just goes straight into there. Get icon. And now I also have one place to like do all this styling and that kind of stuff, which is nice. So this should now, there we go. That looks absolutely lovely. I love everything about that. Now, let's see if we update our crafting recipe, like this second one, to like give also a potion and a ether, which it imported as thinking it's a normal map, I think. Hold on. Yep. It sees blue and it thinks it's a normal map, which is a little annoying. But there we go. It should update this in a moment. And then also give a, I don't know, summon spell basic demon. So they're going to give you a lot of items. I just want to see how the UI deals with that. It should deal with it fairly fine. Yeah, there we go. So this is just a very big button. So yeah, all this works. And I can click on this. Adds the things to my inventory. As you can see, it stacks the potions on top of the potions that already existed in there. And it updates everything to show me that I can't craft it anymore. But if we now go in and we change this to only like take in one item, a potion, for instance, which is going to be interesting because it takes away a potion and then adds in back a potion, which should be fine. It should be able to do that. It's a bit of a weird game design choice, but the code should have no problem with it. So 5 potions. Still 5 potions because -1 + 1. And we can still craft everything. But now if I craft this one, it grays everything out because everything has the same recipe. But this one that I can still craft is not grayed out until, well, it'll never be grayed out because it takes in a potion and gives you back a potion. So, yeah, the UI also straight up just works. Fantastic. We have crafting, people. We have crafting. Nice. Now, we don't have, like, previews for what you're getting, as in like preview text and that kind of stuff, but I kind of want to, like, in the inventory, not in the stats, in the inventory itself, I maybe want to, like, get rid of a little bit of room on this side and add in, like, a preview text in here as well. So when you have something highlighted or selected, it updates the preview text with, like, a bigger image of the icon, and then, like, a little bit of flavor text for the item itself. But that's, like, an entirely different system, and that is nowhere near as relevant for the playtest as, like, having these mechanics working. So that's probably going to be a we'll do that at a later date kind of thing. But once we have that working, I'm sure that we can also, like, fairly easily just, like, add in a scroll box down here. That shows that. That being said, though, for controller, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Because I don't think, like, if you have this selected with your controller, you're not going to be, like, on this to scroll it down. So we might just make something that, like, cycles through the outputs. Because just making one thing that, like, displays shit down here is fine. Just having, like, a horizontal version of what's going to be vertical in this space, like, that's fine. But this one is going to have to be able to display potentially multiple items at the same time. I don't know if my game itself is going to have recipes that result in multiple items being given back. I think for the most part the answer is going to be no. So maybe we just don't need to worry about that. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need to worry about that, to be honest with you. But it's also going to be a little bit of work to get that set up, because that needs to refresh every time we change selection. And I don't quite know how we're going to do that yet, because, like, both the item grid and that scroll thing are going to need to have a, well, it's actually not going to be that difficult to do, I don't think. Because the item grid already has a function. Yeah, the item grid itself is going to be easy to do that with. We're not going to do it right now, but the item grid itself is going to be fairly easy to do that with, I believe. Because if we go to the item grid, like, it should already have a function somewhere. I think it just redraws the entire inventory, right? So, and it does that on inventory updated. Surely not. I think it's update selected slot. Yeah, on mouse entered, and then we update selected slots. So clear focus slot. So that's this. So the last focus slot is getting cleared. And then it sets a new focus slot, which sets it to being highlighted. So I guess what we can just do is we just added this event dispatcher to this whenever it gets highlighted. Yeah, we can do that for now. On highlighted, which sends through the do we send through the entire slot, or do we only send through the item inside it? I guess we just send through the entire slot. In case we need to use this at any later date, again, it's just a couple extra bytes, so it's fine. Which will be the inventory slots, We only need one parameter on this one. So whenever we change to this being highlighted, we set this. Highlighted slot is just the inventory slot that we're on. Then in the inventory grid, we just bind to each one of these and kind of just forward that for anything that's listening to the inventory slot. And then we just do the same thing for the crafting buttons. And then we kind of have it, I think. Shouldn't be much more to it. So yeah, let's do a on selection changed or something like that. New selected. I'm already I made these two back to back and I'm bad at the naming convention already. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. Inventory slots, and then let's see. For each one of these, I guess we're not using this one anymore. For each one of these, we bind to on highlighted, and that just like forwards this dispatcher. That's like kind of all there is to it, to be honest. Yeah, now we could even already... Okay, so I guess we are making this now, because it turns out this is actually not that difficult. I'm thinking, should I make something that's immediately also functional as a horizontal one, but I don't think I will. So what we do is we go to the, I think it's pause menus, yes, which is blueprint, item preview, and for this I think we'll just do a overlay with inside it a let's do a vertical box, and inside that we're going to do a size box first. That's going to have the image, and the size box I think I'm just going to set to like hard-coded 250 by 250. Seems about good. And then under that we're going to just have a text. And I guess at the entire overlay, I don't think we need a border, maybe. I never know what the difference is between like border and image. I really should read up on that. But that needs to render first. It's really annoying that in like in widgets. Hold on. Let me just set this opacity to like 50% as well. In widgets, what ends up happening is you have there's this render order, right? And if I like work in Adobe Premiere or After Effects, it is visibility order. So things that are on top in Adobe or most editing software, it's as if you're looking at it top on. Things that are on the top layer are the first thing you see, and then everything under it gets hidden by the layers above it. So you only see the bottom layer if there isn't anything on top. This, however, works on a render layer ID, meaning that the things on top get rendered first and things below it get rendered on top of it. Which, working with both on a regular basis really breaks my brain. It's not a good time. Anyway, yeah, so we effectively have this. I guess we make a custom event update item. And just takes in an item, right? So we just get an input for a item. It's going to be of type item. somewhere in here. Object reference, you fuckhead. Can we change that? Yeah, we can easily change that. Good. Set brush by texture. Get icon. And then we also change the text, which should actually auto wrap. I think we should put this in size boxes as well, but and it should be variable. That's the thing that I was actually going to do. Set text. And now items are going to need to have like a bit of flavor text as well. For the time being, what we're just going to do is we'll get the item name, because that needs to be on there anyway. It should be a text, by the way, not a string, but I don't care. Because texts support different languages and stuff. So in our, I think it's item display. No, it is not item grid, crafting menu, crafting text, stats menu, pause menu, inventory. This is the one. So this one it's in a size box. Just make that a little thinner, and item preview. I guess we can just put this in a size box as well. I just realized, because these are in a horizontal box, if we just put it in a size box and we just width and height override, just set these to the center. That's kind of it, I think. So on construct, we bind to selection changed, and whenever the selection changes, we get this thing and we change or update item. Split this. No, not promote it to a variable. It's not what I wanted to do. Split it and just pass through the item. Yeah, so that should now work with displaying our stuff. Of course, this might crash when you select something that doesn't have an item in it. No, it doesn't. So yeah, we have this like preview thing that actually shows the currently selected item. Yeah, so this should definitely be like set to invisible when a item is selected that's like a slot is selected that's empty, but yeah, that's quite neat. I like that. It doesn't do it for these though. I guess we can bind to these ones as well. Well, that would work. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah. So we check whether or not it is valid as well. And if it is valid, we do all this. And we also set the image to being visible. How do I start learning game development? That's a fantastic question. It's going to be a difficult answer because it's a complicated thing. But for the most part, I think like Mark Brown at some point when he was making his when he was just starting making his game before he actually started making Mind Over Magnet, which is actually like he started at about the same time I think that I started this, and he has released his game now, and I am still working on this. But he has actually a good thing going, which is try to replicate the functionality you see in simple mobile games. So try to make something like Fruit Ninja, or like one of those like infinite running things, or like 2048. But like those very simple mobile games that are almost flash games, to be honest with you. Try to make a couple of those, like purely based on tutorial stuff. But those are very simple. It's going to keep you from wanting to make your like open world MMO RPG like masterpiece right away, because that's what everybody wants to do. And it's just not a good idea to start with. But it'll still be educational. And then after you've done like 2 or 3 or 4 of those, try to do one where you try to limit yourself looking up tutorials to really test like how much of those tutorials you retained. And then start like stepping it up to slightly more complicated things. I always like making Flappy Bird for new people, and making Pong. Those are 2 games that I think are really actually quite simple. Specifically, Flappy Bird is so simple in how it works. But it does show you like a lot of things about how to like set up like prefabs or blueprints, and like instance them and make them move, and it makes you understand, okay, so I have this like class, which is like all the rules of how an object should behave, but then when I instance them, all of those separate ones have their own like little brain going on almost. Because you have to like deal with the pipes moving from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen, and they all like spawn at different heights and that kind of stuff. I think Flappy Bird is generally a good idea to start with. But there's also mobile games that you can do as well, which work just as well. I think just like pick a fun, simple mobile game project and try to recreate it in your engine of choice. Anyway, so yeah, when item is not valid, I wanted to just like not show anything, so that works. It's gonna stop screaming at me as well, which is quite nice. And I guess I just set the text to empty as well when that happens, because otherwise it's gonna maintain the last name that it had. Does it help in game development? What's your opinion on that? Does what help? Like everything I just said helps, because at least in my opinion. Don't do what I did. Trying to make RPGs my first game is a painful journey. Yeah. It's there's a lot to an RPG, right? So that's not a particularly great first project. Because an RPG has a lot of mechanics that can be like a good like beginner's challenge in and of themselves. Now, when you have made a handful of like tiny little, like effectively you're making mini games. When you've made a handful of those tiny little mini games, you'll actually find that a lot of the things that you made might actually be reusable and like combinable into like a bigger project that you're gonna start working on. Artificial intelligence. AI can help, yeah. It can definitely help. In my experience, what it helps with is to broaden your like knowledge and understanding once you have a base level. AI isn't that great at teaching like at a like the basic fundamentals. It might help you like understand things if you ask it to explain. But at that point, you do need to know what to ask of it to have explained. Like if you're working with C++, which if you're just getting started, maybe don't. But if you're working with C++ and you ask it to like explain what a pointer is, it'll be able to do that. But you'll need to know, like you need the base knowledge to know to ask it about pointers. And what the difference is between a pointer or a reference and that kind of stuff. So like it's not a substitute for learning the basics from like a course or a book or whatever, or just practice and like random tutorial searching. I would highly advise to, at least for the basics, for the beginnings, try to find either do the like mobile game thing that I just talked about, or try to find some like structured like educational content, like a course specifically or a book specifically aimed toward the basics of game development, and then specifically about programming for the most part I'm talking about now. But yeah, so we have this text field working now. So let's add into our blueprint item. Let's not do it in the base item because I need those to. There we go. Let's add a variable effect text, which will be a text. And then we'll also add a flavor text to each one of them. So just a book that I should start with as a beginner. I don't personally like books, so I don't really have like a book for you to start with. Personally, I like video content more than I like text content, especially if it is about a topic that I like don't already understand. Having like text documentation for things as like a referential resource is much preferable because it's easier and quicker to search up. But if it like, for me, trying to learn something goes easier when I have a video. So I don't really like learn from books. I don't have book recommendations, but maybe somebody in chat will have read a book. It's also the reason that I make video content for education. Because I figure there's more people like me. Now, there's one thing that I need to figure out, because it's going to be really annoying now if I go into my items. Yeah, so the effect text and the flavor text, like the small boxes. Is there any way that I can make the boxes? I have text variables in my blueprint. You see, I'm using AI now, right? I'm using ChatGPT to ask it this. But the fields for them are fairly small boxes. Is there a way for me to make it so I can write my text in a bigger box? Multi-line editable text. In the details panel, look for an option called Make Multi-line. In widgets, multi-line fields are common. Let's see. Is that a thing we can do? Don't think that's a thing we can. Oh, it's multi-line. There we go. And this one is not marked as multi-line. That's odd. But that will now allow me to hopefully. Yeah, so if I go to the potion and then open up the chat again, because there's a bunch of stuff in front of it. There we go. Yeah, so yields 50 HP. This strong mix of monster essence will help you. Oh, there we go. That's actually like that's perfect. Will help you survive even the strongest of challengers. Something like that. Then we go into the item preview. I guess we cast to BP item. And then we just check this just in case. Right, yeah, that makes sense. Although I guess with that we don't need to validity check anymore, right? Because if this is a non-valid object, the castle is going to fail as well, so we can just get rid of that. And then we can just add 2 more text to it. So we have this text, usage text, and then we add 1 more text for the flavor text, and then we set all of these to have padding to the top of like 15. I mean, there is, at this point, I think literally hundreds of videos on my channel that show like a bunch of stuff, mostly specifically for Unreal, but there's some Unity stuff as well if you're like more inclined to Unity. Why is there a second image? Oh, that's for the background, that makes sense. So that's maybe like a decent place to, well, maybe not start. I do have a Unreal Basics course that goes over things at a decently basic level. That might help. And from there, maybe like a couple of tutorials that will help, hopefully. And there's always the Discord server as well, if you're having trouble. Get use. Fuck, what did I call it? Effect text. Get effect text. And get flavor text. So now, when I scroll over the potion, it should also display those 2 things. That's kind of cool, though, right? That's kind of neat. It looks like shit because like they're not aligned in the slightest, and for some reason, that's because there's an vertical box. And the vertical box itself doesn't extend past there, so that's a bit annoying. What if I just turn off auto wrap? Is that gonna like make it super fucked? Or is that just gonna fix it? Yeah, no, that's making it super fucked and also stretches out the image, so maybe don't do that. So yeah, I think instead of an overlay, well, not instead of an overlay, but like so it is all in a vertical box, right? Yeah. So what if... Okay, so what if we just made this overlay wrapped with another size box? It's maybe not the best way to do it. What do you feel about cracked games? I mean, I kind of think that like piracy in general is, it's difficult, right? Because some things are just like so fucking ridiculous that yes, you should probably feel okay pirating them. But in general, like it also, like it is a form of theft. but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is like necessarily unethical. Like there's certain companies that I'm like, yeah, it's the ethical thing to do might be to pirate their stuff instead of paying for it, because you don't want to support like their business practices. And I might be talking about like companies like Ubisoft or EA, or Adobe. We talked about Adobe earlier in the stream. That's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, man, I think pirating their stuff is like totally valid. I think in general, like if you want to pirate from like big companies, that's usually effectively fine. As long as it's not something that you're then actively making money off. Like I do pay for my Adobe subscription because like that's my work, that's my job. So like I'm not going to pirate something that I'm making money off of. But when it comes to like indie games, unless it's like unreasonably priced, like a super small like indie game going for like a full like 60 to 90 bucks, that would be a bit insane, of course. But assuming it's like reasonably priced, I think indie games you should just generally stay clear of pirating. But there is the argument of you never know if a pirated copy is a lost sale or not, because somebody who pirates your game might have not bought it otherwise anyway. At which point, wouldn't you rather somebody at least gets to like experience the thing you made instead of like not experiencing it at all? That gets real quick into like some really like complicated matters. But I think in general, if you can manage it, like indie games, you should probably always buy. And like huge ass AAA games, I'm a little bit more lenient with. But as a general rule of thumb, I think that people like should pay for the media that they consume, because it's like far too easy to just forget the fact that this is made by people that need to like live and pay bills. And if they can't do that, they can't make the things that we enjoy. That said, though, I don't think that my solution here is going to work. So let's see what it does. I don't think this is going to do what I think it... yeah, okay. So that might be... auto wrap back to true. I can also set it to wrap at a specific like distance and just update that with a binding so it updates every frame. Maybe that'll... yeah, so what I wanted to do is... so what I wanted to do is I want... this is in the right place, right? This is where I want it to be. All of these should be offset a little bit in that direction, but we'll take care of that in a moment. This should also be offset in both these directions a little bit. But then this, and specifically this, but also this, should go all the way to here before it wraps back, instead of the edge of the image. Which means that I guess the... oh, hold on. I think yeah, so if we just do this, and then this size box outlines to the left, that does it. So we don't even need this anymore, which I don't think it was doing anything anyway. Right, that'll do it, I think. Yeah, fantastic. So now we just need to add a little bit of padding to the left and the right. So for this guy, it'll be like 10 from there and 10 from there. And then let's set these to... let's give this like 10 and 10 as well. And on both of these also get 10 pixels of padding. And then a little bit to the right as well, now that I think about it. So a bit like that. And while we're at it, this might as well have like 20 to the bottom, just in case it gets there. And then maybe you want to wrap those in scroll boxes, just because if they... No, because you're never going to be able to scroll those anyway. So we just need to keep those texts short enough. There we go. So we now have that properly set up. There's one thing that's still bothering me though. And that is the fact that this thing goes down too far. Why can I not change the... That's because it's in the size box. To the top? Yes, maybe. Yeah, I think we just... Ooh, okay. Oh, it's the size box itself. Is set to the middle. Yeah, I think we should just all align these to the top, to be honest with you. And then just set these properly with padding. So if we just set this with like 50 units padding from the top. Let's do 70. Did I just do it in this one? Yeah, I did. That makes sense. That should be 0. And then actually we can just do it in all these size boxes. Padding from the top in all should be 70, so that they're moved down a little. And then I guess we just take the... Oh, it's the wrong one. Set this to like 900, so that's a round number. And we copy that over to this one. I guess it doesn't matter. Do that at 900 as well. And then this one, like 50 to 20. 20. Might be a bit much, but that might also be solvable if we just go back in here. And at this point, I'm just tweaking my inventory, menuing, to be honest, and not doing... Yeah, so I'll just move this up a bit like that. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. So let's take a look at that. There we go. We have the item previews working on the left or the right side in the inventory itself. I did not mean to do this today as well, but here we are. I do like it though. Like, it's kind of cool. The only downside is now I have to write fact and flavor texts for all of the items as well. But we also then need to have a version of that. Oh, that also needs to animate out. We also need to have a version of that that exists like down here. That binds to both this and this, but that's probably an issue for another day. For now, I think this is pretty cool. So yeah, it doesn't update them when I highlight them here still. I don't really care for that at the moment, but before I forget, in the slide-in animation, I probably should also animate this. So let's add that size box, transform. And I guess what we do is we put a... We do it like this. So what does that look like? Okay. that work good in game? It doesn't quite go off screen, but that might be due to the aspect ratio, but that's still good to take into account. So I think this just needs to be like a lot more that direction, just in case. Might be a bit too fast. That's fine for now. We have this working. I've got a lot of like flavor text writing and stuff to do now, which is going to be fucking a thing. I don't think I'll do that on stream because I'm bad at that kind of stuff. And you might be thinking, holy shit, you're bad at that? We've just watched you like coding for almost 3 hours. Well, that's not true. You watched me coding for like 30 minutes and goofing off for 2.5 hours. But okay, I get your point. Now, I'm like legitimately quite bad at like writing this kind of stuff. So that's going to be a fun like evening for me at some point to do. I might figure out a way to do it properly. For now, that's been it. We made a good bit of progress. Like crafting as a whole works now. I think we can be pretty happy with that. We can just go into this menu. I can click on a thing, and the crafting works. This is actually an interesting question, is what happens if there's no room? Ooh, so there is still a bit of an issue there, isn't there? Oh, no, actually, I think it just about fit. Huh. Let's test. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's test if we add in like one more unstackable thing so that it doesn't neatly fit into the inventory. Corrupted soul, I think, only allows one stack. Because I said that we were going to check this. If this is broken, I don't know. I'll fix it on my own probably. But hold on. Oh, the corrupted souls are also stacking, so this is not going to be a good test. Oh no, actually. Yeah, so when I click on this, if it doesn't have room in the inventory, it also just doesn't let me click on it. But it does still display it as being craftable because we have the crafting ingredients, and I think that's actually good. I think that is a good thing. So, yeah, we can now... We can now do this, which is a thing that we can do. Anyway, our crafting works. I'm going to just clean out the data table now because those are all test items. I'll have the actual recipes at some point. But we have everything in place now except the shop, but the shop is going to be super easy to do because the shop is effectively just the crafting menu, but instead of having crafting recipes in them, they just have a shop item plus the price. It's going to be an even simpler version of that. So we might do the shop next Tuesday, and then we have all the item related stuff finally done, at which point it's I think it's time to start like doing a full stream of playtests next Thursday, which will be good because if we have like Tuesday and then Thursday, and then we have like one more week before Christmas, and then it's the new year, and I wanted to have my play build, like my test build, ready by New Year's. So we'll have next week to work on that, and then we'll have like a week to tweak and tinker and stuff with it. Then we have Christmas, at which point I don't know how busy I'll be during Christmas, all the way up to New Year's. This will probably be the period where I submit my build to Steam playtesting, to like have my playtest store page all properly done. I'm assuming during the Christmas period there might be a little bit of a delay. So that means that the first week of January, hopefully I will be able to start sharing the playtest link for Steam. and you guys can finally get your hands on the mess that I have created. Looking forward to it. So yeah, next week, the shop and playtesting. I'm excited. But for now, that's been it. Thanks everybody for hanging out, having fun, helping me think about things. And I will see you all back the next time.